If you want to get good at footwork, speed, timing, precision, or power, you have to shadowbox. But a lot of people seem to struggle with it. So in this video, I'm going to give you guys 3 easy tips to help improve your shadowboxing, whether you're a complete beginner or slightly more advanced. If that sounds good to you, make sure you're subscribed and you have notifications turned on, and let's get started. Now the first tip that I have for you guys is to remember that shadowboxing is about loosening up. A lot of people compare shadowboxing to kata from karate or taekwondo. And I think that's actually a very bad comparison because kata is a very set, regimented way of moving. You're going to start here, low block, reverse punch, kick, reverse block, whatever. You know exactly what step 1 through 10 is going to be. Whereas shadowboxing is meant to be a lot more freeform. It's meant to be a lot more spontaneous. Think about it this way. Shadowboxing is like going to your local football stadium and practicing driving in the parking lot. Whereas kata is a lot more like reading a book on how to actually drive. They're both useful, but one of them will get you better at it much faster. With that in mind, remember that when you're shadowboxing, you shouldn't just be standing in one place facing the same direction the whole time. You want to imagine there's actually an opponent in front of you that you're moving around. So instead of being here and not really moving, I want you guys to loosen up. Work on moving your feet. Put an invisible person in front of you, and when you're ready, throw a strike and then move. 2 strikes and then move. You don't want to know exactly what strikes you're going to be throwing from the moment you start. You need to be more freeform. So remember, the goal of shadowboxing is to loosen up. Don't think I have to know exactly what I'm going to do at the beginning of the round to the end of the round. Just see what you can come up with. Tip number 2 that I have for you guys is to stick to what you know. What I mean by that is that any striking program worth its salt will have some set combinations that you repeat constantly. Whether we're talking about a 1-2, a double jab, maybe a front kick to a roundhouse kick, there's always going to be a certain amount of combinations that get repeated day in and day out. So I see a lot of people complain that they don't know what to do once they're let loose in shadowboxing. Well, refer back to the things that you're constantly doing in class. If your combination 1 is a jab and a cross, you should probably throw a lot of that. If you throw a lot of double jab, low kick, probably add that in. There are going to be certain combinations that are done over and over across your classes. Try to remember what those are, because when it comes time to shadowbox, that's the time to practice them. And if for some reason you can't remember any combinations you learned, just remember the easiest way to follow up any strike is with the other side. What I mean by that is if I throw my left hand, I can follow up easily with my right hand, with my right knee, with my right kick. Doesn't matter. I'm going to go left, right, left, right. Follow one with the other, if nothing else. But I guarantee you, you remember your combinations more than you think you do. So, tip number 2 is to just refer back to what you know. And actually, tip number 2B is if you feel like you don't remember any combinations, after every single class, I want you to write down the combinations you did that day. That way, you can go home and study them, and the next time you have to shadowbox, hopefully now you have something memorized. Tip number 3 that I have for you guys is to have a goal. Doesn't matter what the goal is, make sure you have something you want to accomplish with each round of shadowboxing. So if you need to work on your technique, make sure you throw your hand out crisp, clean, and without any kind of telegraphing. If you want to work on your footwork, work on not just moving forward and back. Be a little more fluid. You'll throw a few less strikes, but you'll be moving the entire round. If you have a cardio issue, maybe throw a few more strikes per round and work on your breathing. Doesn't matter what you're going to be doing, set a goal and see if you can accomplish it by the end of your round. Having that goal in mind will give you something to work towards and will let you know how good you're doing at your shadowboxing. Because shadowboxing is so subjective, you can't just be good at it. But if you give yourself something to work towards, then you know, did I accomplish that goal or did I not accomplish that goal? Here's a bonus tip for you guys. Remember that nobody is watching you shadowbox. I see a lot of people get super self-conscious while they're training, and instead of looking straight forward at their imaginary opponent, they're looking next to them to make sure their training partner isn't seeing them look dumb. Here's the thing. If you feel dumb, the guy next to you probably also feels dumb. And you'll probably both look dumb. Everybody in that room is so focused on how good they're doing that they don't have time to worry about how you're doing. The fact is, martial arts is a selfish practice. I'm not there to judge how you're training, I'm there to improve my training. It doesn't matter how bad you think you look. Nobody is watching you. Just loosen up and have some fun. That's the whole point of what we're doing. Alright y'all, there were 3 tips to improve your shadowboxing, plus a special bonus one because I'm such a nice guy. And because I'm such a nice guy, I'm actually going to add a little bit more. We're going to now go through a shadowboxing round together. I'm going to set a timer for 3 minutes, and I'm going to explain to you guys how I like to work my shadowboxing. So if you want to follow along, go ahead and grab some space. Otherwise, let's get started. First thing I like to do with any round of shadowboxing is get my feet moving. So for about 20-30 seconds, all I'll do is get in my stance, make sure I'm good and balanced, and start moving. Again, I'm not moving randomly. I'm picturing a person in front of me, and I'm moving evasively around them. That person can move or not move. Doesn't matter, I want to make sure that I'm paying attention to my balance. Once I get good with that, I'm going to start moving my head. Start slipping, changing levels, maybe throw some fakes. Now I'm just incorporating the upper body as well as my lower body. From here, it's time to start throwing strikes. To keep it simple, we're going to start with just single individual strikes. Starting out, I'm going to throw a jab, boom, to a cross. I'm going to throw a front kick. I'm moving, planting, throwing my strike, and then moving again. Once I get comfortable with that, I'm going to start throwing 2 strikes. In this case, I'm going to come in, jab, cross, cross, hook. Maybe I go jab, front kick. Let's go side kick, boom, to back kick, boom. I've got that going. I've got my feet moving, head changing levels, throwing 2 strikes at a time. Let's go here, 1, 2, and then move. Now that I've got that going, I'm gonna add in a fake to a single strike. So now I have single strikes, feints, 2 strikes. Once I've got that going, I'm gonna start playing with some speed. So instead of going just 1, 2, I throw my strikes out much faster. Incorporating my breath, I go. Once I got that going, I'm gonna mix. Sometimes I throw a light strike. Then I sit my weight down, boom, there's my power strike. So we have footwork, head movement, individual strikes, power strikes, speed strikes, and now, for the sake of it, let's incorporate 3 strike combinations. So I'll come in, again, we're moving. If I start to get tired, start slowing the pace down. Work on defending, parry. But now let's come back, 1, 2, 3. You'll notice I'm not just moving forward and back, I'm changing the direction I'm facing, moving closer to my opponent. Be fluid with what you're doing. And if you look bad, let yourself look bad. It's fine. Again, important thing to remember is that most of what we're doing is to be fun, is to have fun. So have fun. Try some goofy stuff. Try some jumping strikes. Try some flying kicks. Doesn't matter. Have fun. Alright y'all, there were my tips to improve your shadowboxing, as well as a guided round where we started simple and built to more complicated. Hopefully this helped you out. Hopefully you're now a fan of shadowboxing. Visualization and air practice is one of the most important and beneficial things you can do for yourself as a martial artist. And here's the thing, it requires no equipment. I see a lot of people complain that they can't train at home because they don't have a heavy bag or they don't have a partner. But you can always shadowbox. The only thing you need to do for that is make sure you have a floor beneath you, and I guarantee you have that. All that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you learned something. If you want to support the channel, head on over to combatsd.square.site, where you can pick up the official Combat Self-Defense t-shirt, coffee mug, crop top, or anything else we have on the site. As well, there are a couple links down in the description to sell you some supplements, some new gear, whatever you're looking for, I guarantee I have it for you. This has been Rob from Combat Self-Defense. I want to thank you guys for all the hard work. Thank you for the hard work yet to be done, and I'll see you next time.